Even just if he doesn't get the last hits to soak up all of that experience, realizing how important it is for him to create that little bit of a gap over Thompson. He should have the easier time with being able to his last hits off, even going for that kill there and forcing Thompson to use a lot more defensive moves coming out and gets the first blood. That has to feel good. Come on, the tips have to come through. There we go. This aggressive style. Go for it, but yeah, pumps the rod.
Lost, can he get out? One more right click from afar. Cuckoo and Zephyr find the swipe with some of the runes, but also to scout out Thompson. He looks to fall back to the jungle. Ulru spawn up top. Thompson likes the regen. He's got Zephyr nearby to be able to chase down Vincenzo. He's going to be cautious about Bob. A couple more raises still to play with in regards to the mana. Thompson should be able to get out of harm's way.
The Flash Ape still has quite a long cooldown. He's only got the 1 point into it so far, so only 5-second duration, 20-second cooldown.
Gonna be in some trouble here. Shanks will be open up.
What's coming though?
Still have a Zephyr to be able to get some distance, and now Cuckoo up to the north. He's gonna be okay. So it's under the Shanks, but Palace is gonna charge into the middle. He recognizes that he just needs to get on top of the Nature's Prophet to stop the right clicks, and Palace does just that.
That's quarter HP. To mean that you can look to dive in through a nice kill bottom, left solo, and with the TP coming in from Cuckoo, so they're going to try and put a little bit more pressure onto these towers around the map, force some defensive rotations out of Execration, rather than all of the aggressive ones that they've been having so far.
Dire's middle tower.
Fight by the power room. Gonna spawn up top, in fact, with invisibility. I'm trying to find the stacks. Gonna go for the Requiem instead. He's still playing around with the attribute shift, and Thompson once again just lives to see another day. Cautious Oka Zephyr with the onslaught clips on the Shanks. They've got the Wrath of Nature as well, so T1
off. Why it was such a big deal that Bob was getting those kills solo without any other assistance.
Carlos, he's in a lot of trouble here. Ana's got plenty of movement speed to be able to continue this chase. First hand to goal. We're going to see the defense. Tino, look at the jump. Oh no, Tino evaporates. Ana playing with the unleash. Now he's going to turn to try and bring down Palos. It's going to be all up to Bob if they can turn this team fight back around. But the Requiem's still on cooldown, so Bob will have no aim.
But right click at you. Unleash coming through from the Marcy gets way too much out.
Going to the Shadow Fiend. One sorts out from Zephyr. Wrath of Nature burst. It's not enough to get the kill onto Bob, and he's been able to charge up the Requiem. Tino with the Exo as well. This is a lock in mid of the Execration.
Radiant's
and they
much.
Oh no, he jumped in, and now with the chain frost can bounce back and forth. They'll get the head to go for the bonus here. Now Arno's going to try and turn around as well. The unleash for the dispel, and Arno's life still's not enough. They get the kill to the Marcy, but it comes at such a grave cost, as Execration will lose all 3 members in the skirmish party. I believe Tino made because Arno and Waimon in hand. They're going for Zephyr instead. Not the easiest target to bring down, especially with Waimon on the outskirts as well. This Professor will play. It's going to stop a lot of the bonus health coming back. They're off to the left side. They're going to be able to blow up Tino with a turnaround. It's not enough because Art is protected with the BKB. He just shrugs off the Requiem, jumps further into the middle, secures the triple kill.
Pretty beefy hero. Level 11, position 4, 2200 HP, plus the extra armor that you're getting if you're able to get off that uproar.
Looks Thompson and baits Arna to jump in. He gets the stun. Arna still has ages. This is, I don't know if you're ready for this team fight. Arna gets a little bit of bonus health back. Not going to be enough to hold off through the first lap. And now Tino, he's got his second point in the exorcism. So he's going to charge in the middle, trying to create some chaos. Break the formation out of T1, but they're retreating perfectly. In synergies, T1 making sure there's no stragglers for the easy pickings. And now with the backstabber, Zephyr onslaughts into the middle with the polarize out as well. Tino's gone out of the count, and now T1
lacking that little bit of extra damage.
We're going to be able to break the dismember instantly. Vincenzo's going to buy some time as well, but Palace is stuck in no man's land. Shanks is able to reveal the blink dagger as well. They're going to try and toss him inside the Requiem for the attribute ship. Keeps Thompson alive, and now Arna is having a free fight. Again, the Marcy just jumping on forward. 0 cares in the world is Arna. Good. Might have to have some cares. Looks like he's able to walk that one off as well. A Witchblade, actually, sorry, the Mage Slayer complete.
With a lot of these responses.
So greedy. He wanted that ancient creep. Oh, getting closer to his BKB. Unfortunately, he will be killed off. Oh, trying to charge up the Requiem. They need to toss him directly on top of the Shadow Fiend. They're going to be able to do so with the BKB. The nick of timing from Zephyr and our Execration. They're going to get out. cancel the team fight, but the bash is there. Bob will not escape. And Noble shanks, and Thompson wants more blood. Away from deep inside the base. They've got Honor to follow up as well as T1. Looking to go forward, pillaging the base. No one is safe from the boys of T1.
Is just able to get the solid pickups.
Oh, he's going to run into Palos. Shanks is nearby. Tino, he's not going to be able to cancel his TP. Down goes to position 1. Pudge, godlike streak for Honor. Bottom lane, Bob. They're going to force out a BKB out of the Shadow Fiend as well. One shot from Zephyr sends Bob packing inside the base.
You know how quickly the connection can come, right? You got the global teleport as Cuckoo comes to mid. Thompson, of course, with his waveform, very fast at being able to move around the map. The Frost Shield's going to delay things a little bit, but it's still just not ready.
Radiant's middle tower has fallen.
It's going to have to be a toss back into a Requiem, and there's the silence.
Fast range, man.
Not able to find it. Zephyr with the charge and gets the pulverize onto Tino. They're going to be able to stop it in its tracks. There's just no damage. You drop the pipe, you got the hand of God, and instantly T1 can turn it around. They're deep inside the base without a care in the world. Even the glyph is not going to be enough of a deterrent. Tino will try and charge onto Cuckoo. The physical damage is starting to rack up. Even the BKB will not do anything to protect the Death Prophet. And T1, the mid lane was rocky to start, but it did not matter. What a fine way for them to open up their run here in game 1.
On the hook there. This should be game. Like, they are absolutely swarming that Ancient. No buybacks available on the DP or the SF. This one out if they were wanting to, but a bit composed. Never mind, it was a bait.
It was a bait. Give me more kills. Let me add to the tally. The G's are dropped. T1 on their debut.
When I think of Zephyr, I think of, the Phoenix. I think of his Enchantress, his Treant Protector, even the Dawnbreaker, who, as a 4, is kind of slow. You're not one of these link in, start the team fights. You are a reactionary support where you're ulting in on top of someone else that's taking the incentive, like the initial part of these team fights. Whereas this time, you are the one. You are the one that needs to start these team fights. So I really think that it's been drilled into him, by Thompson in particular. I want to see no Treant in your pumps. I want to see none of this passive crap. Just go in, and we got you.
Oh, very cute.
A different look at least T1 and their heroes and what they're going to prioritize, but for Execration, it's really not a different look out of these guys. Really, I guess the only different thing is maybe Bob playing the Shadow Fiend. But for everyone else, I mean, Palos, he has a mean Pudge, something that is incredibly comfortable on him. We've already gone over the Death Prophet and the Tiny as well. I feel like this is a lineup that Execration have their comfort heroes, but then do they have the 5-man lineup to be able to take control of this game 1? Do they have what it takes to be 1 game up here in our best of 3?
I'm gonna go with a solid maybe for this one. Yeah. I mean, the position 1 Marcy is just completely out of left field. I have no idea how it's gonna go. So I'm just happy to wait, I'm going to sit back, I'm going to watch, I'm going to talk about it more than a lot of other people, but I'm just like Chad at this position. I'm just ready to watch some great Dota.
Ready to watch some great Dota, and that we shall have. TI qualifies the debut from both these rosters. Back and forth, we've got some exciting stuff. We're into it. Last 2 regions as well, battling it out. You got Western Europe going on as well at the same time, but this is where you want to be.
Western Europe. It's SEA. That's where you want to be. Big whacks from that tree from Shanks. So item build for position 1 Marcy that he's been going for. I believe it is Phase Boots, Falcon Blade, BKB Basher. The build that Anna's going for, and maxing out the rebound, because again, that's his farming mechanism. That's what he needs to be able to keep up. I mean, you compare what a Marcy's able to do compared to a Morphling. I mean, this might even just be the more aggressive style, which, by the way, Anna's bottom as Dire, if we didn't realize that one just yet.
So what are they, just looking to avoid the Nature's Prophet into Pudge lane?
I guess. I mean, well, they're not going to. I mean, the Pudge is coming top.
See how the early lane's able to shape up here for Thompson against Bob on the Shadow Fiend. So early raises, spamming out. Thompson not going to go for the stick early on once this bottle rush to be able to play it. Open up in regard to the resources. You see how much damage he's racking up. Bob doesn't have enough, unfortunately, for another raise to follow up. Thompson is incredibly slow. Look at this. He's like, what do I do?
Well, he's had about 2 range creeps denied in front of his face as well. So obviously a very risky proposition there. But yeah, Bob ends up taking a few tower hits, but it's the intimidation factor. You know, this is how you want to start out these
Dire's
qualifiers.
courier has been killed.
Make a lot of sense to pair a Primal Beast together with the Nature's Prophet. It is how they were always going to do it with Kuka and Zephyr combination, but maybe they just feel a little bit more confident with running this in the Pudge there, just for a lot of that consistent damage coming out. You have to consider, like, Trample, as long as you get the rod off, you don't really care. You're not going to take any damage, basically. Just wanting something that's going to be able to contest with the really strong right clicks from the Pudge. Primal Beast pretty much emulates that with that the Bracer pickup. Basically the exact same right click.
We'll see Thompson have a very difficult time mid. This is the nice thing about the Shadow Fiend. Just with the raises, Thompson is always forced to kind of play on a high health pool, making it difficult for him to secure the last hit. So
fine. Yeah, no, it certainly is quite difficult. And for the very start of this game, Bob's having a great time, making sure even just if he doesn't get the last hits to soak up all of that experience, realizing how important it is for him to create that little bit of a gap over Thompson. He should have the easier time with being able to get his last hits off, even going for that kill there and forcing Thompson to use a lot more defensive moves coming out and gets the first blood. That has to feel good. Come on, the tips have to come through. There we go. That'll do. Able to get the outplayed, get the mojo going, and Bob is not the person.
oh, not at all. Get this guy online. It's going to be scary here for T1. We've seen what a Shadow Fiend is able to do. Already off to a flying start, and looks like their side lanes gone decently well. Bottom lane, Tino 13-1 in combination with the Tiny. This is another lane where I think we're going to have a lot of action break out. Probably is going to be dependent on what the success in particular for T1. Top lane Palos is in a bit of trouble. That trample damage is really starting to add up. Kuku's not going to continue chasing him down. Zephyr with one more right click. He's not going to go for it though. Back to bottom is Tino falling lower and lower under the safety of the tier 1 tower. Whitemon and Ana going to continue the chase, but they have brought Tino down into a low threshold where it's going to make it difficult for him to play the lane now.
Thank you.
So they have to be a little bit careful. Palos, the half duration healing cell being fed over to him by Vincenzo.
Ana's in down
He
bottom.
wasn't looking.
They might get a solo kill to Tino. Spirit Siphon to the last second with 2 points in the Siphon. That will be enough to find the health back. A nice attempt from Ana.
Tense, right? People, like I was saying before, penciling this in as an easy T1 win. It is not that at all. Doubling the last hits and denies in the mid lane is Bob. Great start. They're going for another dive here, but Tino able to shrug it off for now.
Like something from a dream.
Oh, he gets it again.
Dude. Oh no. Bobby, what are you doing? 14 Necromastery now. Dewey damage is really starting to ramp up. Oh, this is not good. Because Vincenzo looks like he's considering about making some stacks for the Shadow Fiend. If you get this guy into... Is he going to go for the Requiem? He might. Bob charges up the ultimate for the damage. It's not enough onto Thompson.
He had just a little bit less mana needed for the Shadow Rays. That last one, otherwise Thompson would have died. Oh my god, the mental damage that would have done would have just been insane. Side. Low up here, Zephyr again playing this aggressive style. Go for it, but yeah, pops the rod.
Carlos, can he get out? One more right click from afar. Kuku and Zephyr find the swipe. A much needed kill for T1.
Everything that's happening in this mid lane though, all the other lanes are going pretty well. I mean, Pudge sitting towards the bottom end of the net worth, even Chen almost overtaking him with how aggressive Whitemon's been playing. got the, he can even go on the Bassi. He's just going for that full group up. Again, it's all about the early timings for T1 with this new style of roster.
I do like this ward place though from Shanks down by the bottom power rune. They're going to help out the Shadow Fiend from being able to secure some of the runes, but also to scout out Topson, who looks to fall back to the jungle. Wolverine spawn up top. Topson likes the regen. He's got Zephyr nearby to be able to chase down Vincenzo. So got to be cautious about Bob. A couple raises still to play with in regards to the mana. Topson should be able to get out of harm's way.
The regen as well, so he'll be just fine. We've also got this pesky creep coming mid. That Satyr Mindstealer, man, it's the best creep in the game. Like, you just completely ruin the enemy hero's mana pool. And someone like an SF, who doing a great job so far on Bob to be able to bully Topson out of this lane, it's not going to continue if you just don't have the mana to do it.
Rewarded.
With all the heroes though leaving the lanes, it puts Tino in a solo matchup versus Honor, and I feel like the Death Prophet's going to be incredibly happy with this.
Waters rise.
I suppose, but you've also got to consider that Cuckoo is also farming solo on top of this time. You can't move forward on Palos to be able to try and get any farm. You're just going to get sprouted, you're just going to get charged at. Yeah, Flesh Heap still has quite a long cooldown. He's only got the 1 point into it so far, so only 5-second duration, 20-second cooldown.
Gonna be in some trouble here. Shanks with the open up.
What's coming though?
Still have Zephyr to be able to get some distance, and now Cuckoo up to the north. He's gonna be okay. Turns onto the Shanks, but Palos is gonna charge into the middle. He recognizes that he just needs to get on top of the Nature's Prophet to stop the right clicks, and Palos does just that.
Movement coming through, but still, it's that net worth lead. It's sitting in T1's favor right now, and with the regen rune, even Topson just being able to move back towards the jungle. I actually didn't realize how low this mid tower was already. Less than quarter HP. It's gonna mean that you can look to dive in through a nice kill bottom, left solo, and with the TP coming in from Cuckoo, so they're gonna try and put a little bit more pressure onto these towers around the map, force some defensive rotations out of Execration, rather than all of the aggressive ones that they've been having so far.
Dire's middle tower.
Fight by the power rune. Gonna spawn up top, in fact, with the invisibility. I'm trying to find the stacks. Gonna go for the Requiem instead. He's still playing around with the attribute shift, and Topson once again just lives to see another day. Be cautious, Oka Zephyr. With the onslaught clips on the Shanks, they've got the Wrath of Nature as well, so T1 off the back of the support rotations will help Topson stay alive and get a kill onto Shanks.
That's the thing about the best teams in the world. You can have one lane go really poorly, but as long as the other two are just fine, I mean, that's why it was such a big deal that Bob was getting those kills solo without any other assistance.
Palos, he's in a lot of trouble here. Arna's got plenty of movement speed to be able to continue this chase, and the T2 tower won't even be a deterrent. He doesn't get close enough to it. So Arna and Cuckoo get another big kill onto Palos, who's really struggling on the pudge.
Top tower is under attack.
Did get that kill onto the, sorry, it was the deny onto the mid T1 tower, but that just frees up Bob to start moving through the jungle. They can see him walking up top here. He went underneath the outpost, so
Dire's structures are
connect through onto this, look to open up the map a little bit more if he can.
Dire's top
That should be able to get away though.
attack.
What happens around mid? Whitemon, again, just playing aggressively. They're going to try and get the Sprout in. Actually landed, but Quelling Blade enables Palos to get away. Just more pressure happening around the map. Not giving anything up for free is T1.
Do we feel like Execration might lack some early game damage now going to the mechanism and almost hand a goal? We're going to see the defense. Tino, look at the jump. Oh no, Tino evaporates. Arna playing with the unleashing. Now he's going to turn to try and bring down Palos. It's going to be all up to Bob if they can turn this team fight back around. But the Requiem still on cooldown, so Bob will have no answer as Execration, they lose their tier 1 tower and they lose 2 members.
In terms of the damage output, I think it can be a little bit lacking. Maybe not so much once you hit like level 8 on the Death Prophet. I think it's very important to make sure that you've got that 1 point into the silence, and you just need to pop the Exo and have those 4 Spirit Cipher charges working. The other thing as well is they don't exactly have anyone that's amazing at locking people into a small space. That's what you really need for the Exo, for the Chain Frost, as well as the Pudge, to have that greatest level of input. So a lot of this game is honestly on Shanks being able to, with some decent timings, he's going into the phase boots for himself. just because I guess he feels that he can't reliably wait for the blink dagger. They're going to get run over in that time, and he wants to be able to quickly run up forward, get a toss back, and that to snowball through the rest of the team.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is a build that the Boca likes. There was someone at ESL, I can't remember who now, that was going phase boots as well after the change. They maybe just felt like the cast range of the toss was a little bit of an issue, so maybe the phase boots movement speed could help out. I saw someone else, so I just can't remember who. I think it was Bawoka.
Yeah, no, it was Bawoka, and it's game dependent, right? This is one of those games where you're up against this full-on Zoo lineup that you have to have speed to get away. You kind of have to put yourself in harm's way because a Lich isn't going to be frontlining, a Shadow Fiend free BKB isn't going to be frontlining, a Pudge kind of can, but it's still so vulnerable super early on, right? Not anywhere near level 10, so he's going to have pathetic armor, and when you consider what you're up against, like all these Chen creeps, Nature's Prophet right-clicking you, Unleash coming through from the Marcy, it's way too much to happen.
Going to the Shadow Fiend. One sorts out from Zephyr. Wrath of Nature burst. It's not enough to get the kill onto Bobbin. He's been able to charge up the Requiem Tina with the Exo as well. This is a lot committed for Execration, and they just get Zephyr. I don't know if that's worth it. 2 ultimates. Yes, you keep the Shadow Fiend alive, but on lane as well. Arna, he's going to find a solo kill onto Paolo, so this is something that a core Marcy needs, and a position 1 Marcy in particular. You need to get kills when you have the Unleash available, and Arna has done that multiple times this game.
Really loving the way that Zephyr's been playing so far. They do get rid of that vision that's enabling him to play this aggressive style, but he's level 8. He is the same, he's higher level actually than the Pudge right now. And it's 12.5 minutes, and both supports on Execration aren't level 6. I think Shank just picked it up right there. So it does feel a little bit weird. They can't take a lot of these team fights to give a little more emphasis towards picking up that Chain Frost for Vincenzo. Right now, he's roaming around the map, trying to get some stacks off, some D-Ward duty, but
middle tower is
feels like they need to let him be a tiny bit more selfish. Go down the Xiao Bonbon route.
So what do you think the play is here for Execration? Because you've taken T1 top, T1 mid. What do you look to do in the next couple of minutes? Because you're down 5,000 gold.
You are, aren't you? You need to make sure that you get into the... I want to say the BKB on Bob, but it's going to be a little while away. Like you almost have to buy this Ogre Axe just so that you've got that little bit of extra survivability for this inevitability. Like, they will run at you on T1. No,
you feel like
you see this with Chen, Marcy, Primal Beast, it's gonna happen. So they just need to try and like shove out lanes as much as they can, be as survivable as possible, get level 6 so that if they dive past your tower, you've got the abilities and the damage to be able to burst them down. Even just the Pudge having more levels, right? He's maxed out the Rot because he needs that to be able to farm more quickly, but we need maxed out Flesh Heap just to have greater uptime even, regardless of the damage block.
Radiant's bottom
we'll see
tower
how fast Bob's going to be able to pick up this BKB. We'll have a haste in the arsenal. Gonna help out maybe with a pick off for it. Team fight. Pelos is getting a little bit of farm up top as well. Cautious about that Wrath of Nature, but just gets out of vision. So still the net worth lead, not really growing for T1, but Hobson has well and truly recovered after the rough lane that he's had.
That's always the thing that the best teams do. Like I was saying before, you gotta make space for a teammate that's having a rough game. And with Execration doing it, it really feels like they've committed so much more. Where D1, they're going for the efficiency plays. They're making sure that spread people out around the map. It's one of the big strengths of the Chen, right? You still have a global presence with your Hand of God. You can jungle on your own, and if someone finds you in the jungle, who cares? It's a Chen. If you're rotating multiple people, then so much.
Oh no, he jumped in, and now with the chain frost can bounce back and forth. They'll get the head to go for the bonus heal. Now Arno's going to try and turn around as well. The Unleash for the Dispel, and Arno's life still's not enough. They get the kill to the Marcy, but it comes at such a grave cost, as Execration will lose all 3 members in the skirmish party. I believe. Tuna, maybe. Alright, they got him. Dobson gets the double. Arna loses his streak, but all of Tier 1 show up huge with the rotation down to bottom.
At least this time around, they don't commit absolutely everyone on Execration. Like, yeah, you lose 3 heroes, and it sucks. But Bob, he's farming. He's becoming that really big threat, the damage threat they're going to need for the fights that are yet to come.
Radiant are
12,
scanning.
probably around the recipe left towards the BKB. It's going to be big. And they've also got the siege creep wave up top, so someone needs to respond to this, and they know that a lot of TPs came down bottom to be able to protect that, to protect Ana previously. So only Nature's Prophet that can look play up here. Topson can as well, but yeah, eventually it's going to be Cuckoo playing up top here.
They might consider Roche pretty shortly here for T1. Wraith Pack just completed for Cuckoo. A lot of damage mitigation. Of course, lifesteal as well, the important thing. You've got the sidekick even to play with as well. So, yeah, I wonder if T1, what they're going to consider. Maybe they are looking for a pick-off and then they can enter Roche, or maybe they feel like they're strong enough just to walk on in.
I don't know if they can do it without Morphling, though. They'll, I think, need Morphling's damage to be able to get anything here. And good positioning by Vincenzo to block the smoke. All the Chen creeps revealing absolutely everything. You give your life away, but I was about to say it's worth it. How quickly is he looking to try and connect on Topson? Not really. So I don't think they can do this. They might still go for it, though. Thinking it now, but kind of in two minds about it all. Go. Cuckoo TP's in. They see the SF TP back as well. That was really what Cuckoo was wanting. Just realized that SF isn't going to be able to be part of any quick Roche attempt. And doing this a little bit faster than I was expecting. Everyone's bottom, they don't know.
There's the Unleash. I was going to say, maybe Ana feels like they're forced to use it, and now with the Unleash, it's going down much faster. So T1 with the first Aegis, James and Palos trying to catch out Topson down bottom, but the Spidey senses are tingling, so Topson's back to safety, making sure he doesn't put himself in a compromised position while the team is getting an objective.
Good wards, really showing a lot of that positioning, and not really conventional spots.
Oh, close. Oh, the creep just walked in the way. God damn it.
They are going to reach this timing where they feel a lot more confident to be able to fight, though, on Execration, right? Like, in, I would say, about 4 minutes' time, you can get your tier 2 neutral items, you can get your Aghanim Scepter on Palos, you can get your Blink Dagger on Shanks, you can get BKB on Death Prophet. Like, it's a lot of stuff coming very shortly. They can weather the storm, can wait out this Aegis, then look to try and make a play. That could be a real turning point for Execration. It's just making sure that you're efficient with your movements, not wasting TPs for, you know, any which person. I feel like you really got to have someone like Vincenzo doing exactly like he is in this mid lane right now. Just shoving out the wave, as even if it's slow with the Frost Shield, anything that's just going to discourage them from constantly running at you, because it means that smokes like these become a whole lot more obvious.
You see Tino with the Observe Ward farming in the jungle, bottom lane as well. Topson shoving up the lanes. This could give them an option to move down and play next to the Morphlin, maybe anticipating a gank or just someone here to shove out the lane.
Look at Tino's position. This is really
Smoke's
good.
gonna pop shortly, so they'll see Zephyr. What's the call? They're just gonna TP out. I think the core is your Shanks. Yeah, he's gonna reveal his position regardless.
Radiant's current has been
No way he makes it out of this. He'll make it work for it at least. With the adaptive
Switch
track
at the
from
Tumblr's
Topson.
toy, bro.
Yeah,
The bounce.
He'll make it. No
Hey.
way. I mean, that's
is
weathering
it.
the
This
storm,
is the
Deno.
efficiency,
That's what
man.
you said.
Radiant are scanning.
Need it. They're 100 gold away from the Aghanim Scepter on the Pudge, 700 from Blink Dagger on Tiny, closer towards Tino's BKB himself. He'll have level 12 as well. I think you got to give up this bottom lane. You cannot fight into this. Don't have the tools to be able
Radiant's
to. And
bottom
T1 have
tower is
everything
under
that they
attack.
want. They've Manta Style, they've got BKBs, they've got Aegis, they've got Mech. Way too many.
Radiant structures.
Switch
are
out the other
fortified.
lanes. That's the main goal for Execration right
Radiant's
now.
bottom tower
They're smoking.
is under
This is
attack.
crazy.
Where do you jump? Because I'm going to ride one in hand. They're going for Zephyr instead. Not the easiest target to bring down, especially with Whitemon on the outskirts as well. This Professor will apply it. It's going to stop a lot of the bonus health coming back. They're off to the left side. They're going to be able to blow up Tino with a turnaround. It's not enough because Ard is protected with the BKB. He just shrugs off the Requiem, jumps further into the middle, secures the triple kill, and Ard is Marcy something to fear.
Oh, they did such a good job in being able to scout out that movement and dodge a lot, but you lose your tier 2 tower and you lose 3 heroes because you think you could go on to this Primal Beast. Turns out he's a pretty beefy hero. Level 11, position 4, 2200 HP, plus the extra armor that you're getting if you're able to get off that uproar.
Looks Thompson and baits Arna to jump in. Gets the stun. Arna still has ages. This is, I don't know if you're ready for this team fight. Arna gets a little bit of bonus health back. Not going to be enough to hold off through the first lap. And now Kino, he's got his second point in the exorcism. So he's going to charge in the middle, trying to create some chaos, break the formation out of T1. But they're retreating perfectly in synergies. T1 making sure there's no stragglers for the easy pickings. And now with the backstabber, Zephyr onslaughts into the middle with the polarize out as well. Tino's gone out of the count, and now T1, they're on pursuit for more. Cuckoo's already teleporting to the backline, but Shanks is up to the high ground, so instead they'll go back to the tier 2 tower.
Can you tell that I like this aggressive T1? Because I really like it, you know, especially Zed. That is the biggest improvement that I'm seeing so far out of their last 6 months, honestly. Like a big change in style, and it's working out wonderfully. Lacking that little bit of extra damage.
Because we're able to break the dismember instantly. Vincenzo's going to buy some time as well, but Palace is stuck in no man's land. Shanks is able to reveal the blink dagger as well. They're going to try and toss him inside the Requiem, but the attribute shift keeps Thompson alive, and now Arna is having a free fight. Again, the Marcy just jumping on forward. Zero cares in the world is Arna. Cuckoo might have to have some cares. Looks like he's able to walk that one off as well. A Witchblade, actually, sorry, the Mage Slayer completed. Magic resistance?
I don't know, man. I feel like this is just comes down to a little bit of maturity coming through from Execration. Like they could have easily taken those last 2 team fights if they just had the BKB on the Death Prophet, if they just waited that little bit longer for even a 4-star on the Lich. Instead, they just ran headfirst in when they weren't ready. They just now have the Blink Dagger as well on Shanks, which certainly does help, especially if you're able to get in onto the backlines, take out the Chen to be able to start a lot of these team fights, or Cuckoo. But felt like they were way too early with a lot of these responses.
So greedy. He wanted that ancient green. Oh, getting closer to his BKB. Unfortunately, he will be killed off. There you go for Execration. Just kind of, you were just mentioning like maybe some inexperience. Or inexperience, I was going to say lack of experience, same thing, but it's very difficult to give up that T2 tower. But when you're in this position where you just need these BKBs, when you need these items, that's your hope in these team fights. And if you don't wait long enough, then you kind of you take 2 bullets, you lose the fight, then you still lose your tower, and now you're down even more gold. So now T1 have more items to play with.
Radiant
So
are scanning.
what's the probability looking like? 91%.
I just looked. Yeah, it's not looking too great. I feel like you could afford to give up 2 tier if it meant that you had that next item that you need. At the time, I think Pop was pushed out, so they weren't in danger of losing 3rd. They just lost way too much for free in my eyes.
Interesting. Arna's going to Scepter. Okay, so this is actually what gives you the Dispel. I was looking before that they changed the Dispel, no longer being on Unleash, so now the Scepter is going to provide.
I didn't want to call you out. I wanted to let you...
No.
Okay. Terrible player. Absolute garbage.
Did
right.
you say
we win our turbos, it's fine.
Yeah, oh man. Dominate the turbos. They got shit on us. Did you say Scepter was in the build that Arna was going?
Honestly, the games, because they're pubs, mostly end before he gets up to that stage, so
I mean,
normally ends after he gets the basher. Yeah, it's getting close, isn't it?
Yeah, it's getting close. For the smoke on smoke, we'll see what they can do on Execration. Playing around their triangle for the moment. Tino unsmoked, moving to the front. Oh, ships passing in the night. Vincenzo's gonna pop the smoke. Gonna jump the Lich instantly, not the bit. Oh, alright, he's out. They got a pretty good ward on the high ground to play with, so Shank's gonna jump in.
Just missed the toss. That might have been the cast range change. Even just like 100 less cast range meant that he wasn't able to get it onto the target that he needed. Well, tiny nerfs is really starting to become a bit more of a factor. Man, look at Cuckoo at the bottom of the map. All of these treants just fanning out across the map like spiders, right?
Multiple times. Look at Zephyr's position in the left tree line. He's ready to jump. He's got this BKB. So it'll be a full duration pulverize coming out. Plenty of control to allow the cores just to go to work.
Make adjustments and try again.
It's not careful, he'll start to get addicted to this style of just diving in a little bit too deep.
I mean, is this a bad thing? I don't know.
Said it was a bad thing. Just something that could happen. Put himself up on the front lines, saying, you know what, I've got a bunch of auras from the Chen. He's backing me up. Whitemon even having the pipe as well. Even if they dive onto him, I mean, just the passive 30% magic resistance is really nice for a Chen. Cloak aura, plus everything else that you got.
Ooh, Bob trying to charge up the Requiem. They need to toss him directly on top of the Shadow Fiend. They're going to be able to do so with the BKB. The nick of timing from Zephyr and an Execration. They got to get out. Cancel the team fight, but the Bashers are there. Bob will not escape. And Noble shanks, and Thompson wants more blood. Away from deep inside the base. They've got Honor to follow up as well as T1. Look at them go forward, pillaging the base. No one is safe from the boys of T1.
They're ready, and they want to convert potentially on mid. I mean, they've got the siege creep there. They've got a second wave coming. But for now, they just want to close out all of these outer towers for now. Spend all the ultimates to do so, especially considering they know the exorcism's about to wear off. So what's stopping them moving forward? Roshan just wanting to extend their lead even further. No Requiem, no Chain Frost, no exorcism. Could have gone high ground if they wanted to.
Oh, they're going to see Zephyr in the tree line. Take a kill where you can find it. Shanks says, thank you very much. I'll go with that.
How do we reckon it's getting this shard? You'd have to say Thompson, right?
Yes, I would say so.
What about the curse of the old growth coming through for Cuckoo?
Ooh, scary.
Not gonna happen.
They've got a great ward on the higher gun. Arna's instantly gonna jump to try and protect that. Right by Vincenzo.
There's no try. Text it.
Sure. Alright, so Thompson does get the shard, and he's got the Aegis to work with as well. So this Morphling, has not died since the laning phase. And maybe that's why Bob wasn't looking to tip Mr. Thompson. Because, I don't know if you want to poke the beast.
Even without the poking, this is still happening though. So I feel like you take your chance while you get it. Level 20 on Morphling as well, going into the Skadi next. They've taken over this game. And what's the win prob now? 3%. Optimistic, I'll say that much. And well, level 15 with the extra Spirit Cipher damage and healing. This is the big timing that feels kind of busted. You know, a lot of people are playing around this timing specifically. I know everyone likes the percentage. Even Ana's just trying to solo. Look at all the vision that T1 have on the map. I just realized they can see everything, and they feel like Ana's just able to get these solo pickups.
Oh, he's going to run into power loss. Shanks is nearby. Tino, he's not going to be able to cancel his TP. Down goes to position 1. Pudge, god-like streak for Ana. Bottom lane, Bob. They're going to force out a BKB out of the Shadow Fiend as well. One charge from Zephyr sends Bob packing inside the base.
Know how quickly the connection can come, right? You got the global teleport as Cuckoo comes to mid. Thompson, of course, with his waveform, very fast at being able to move around the map. The Frost Shield's going to delay things a little bit, but it's still just not ready.
Radiant's middle tower has fallen.
It's going to have to be a toss back into a Requiem, and there's the silence.
That's Strange Man.
Not able to find it. Zephyr with the charge and gets the pulverize onto Tino. They're going to be able to stop it on its tracks. There's just no damage. You drop the pipe, you got the hand of God, and instantly T1 can turn it around. They're deep inside inside the base without a care in the world. Even the glyph is not going to be enough of a deterrent. Dina will try and charge onto Cuckoo. The physical damage is starting to rack up. Even the BKB will not do anything to protect the Death Prophet. In T1, the mid lane was rocky to start, but it did not matter. What a fine way for them to open up their run here in game 1.
On the hook there. This should be game. Like, they're absolutely swarming that Ancient. No buybacks available on the DP or the SF. This one out if they were wanting to, but a bit composed. Never mind, it was a bait.
It was a bait. Give me more kills. Let me add to the tally. The G's are dropped. T1 on their debut. Trying game 1. See what they're able to do if they can replicate this performance, but for them, Denok, you really had a lot of questions on how this new T1 it would look, and again, in really particular to the supports, and I was quite impressed with Zephyr on the Primal Beast.
Everyone is smiling except for Zephyr right now. He's just like, man, I'm not used to this. It's good, but it's going to take some time. It's exhausting to have to go through a very different style to what you're used to, but I'm sure that he's going to feel very happy about that first performance in an official game. Playing this, you could call it T1 Dota. Like,